You know, when 9/11 happened, for those of you who may not know 9/11 because you're just like that. In 2001, some people from the Middle East, went to New York with a couple of planes and ran them into buildings. And within just a few minutes, the image of everyone from the Middle East began to change in America. So even today, when I want to travel abroad, go to Europe, go back home, for example, they have special booths for people like me, who look like me, where all of my holes are checked. I may have a dynamite or a grenade or a this or a that somewhere in my body. And so I remember at Sierra College, I was teaching this class, Intro to Philosophy. And the moment I walk into the classroom, my students, and they're all white, nice people, they look at me and the first thing that they ask is, do you know where Osama bin Laden lives? How the hell would I know where Osama lives? So, to be sarcastic, I said, yeah, he's actually my cousin. And he's hiding in the basement of my house. Maybe you guys should come over. We'll have pizza from Zachary's. Now, from that point on, Janai and the rest of you, I had a couple of choices. I already knew what people think of Middle Easterners. All of them are potential terrorists. They're uneducated, and add to it the fact that it's an Islamic environment, which means that for the past 1,000 years, philosophers, or Western philosophers and thinkers who don't know much about the region, don't know much about the philosophy of the Middle East, don't know much about Islam, have heard a few things, come out and just create all these negative images of Islam, of the Middle East, and of Middle Easterners. Now, you see, I have a couple of choices. I can either continue to encourage those images, or I could oppose those images. How do you encourage those images? I had a student from Yemen some years ago in this class. The only thing I said was that Quran is the Bible of the Muslim world. That's all I said. It's a sacred text. I didn't use that word. I just said Bible. He looks at me and he says, it's not the Bible, it's the Quran. I said, yeah, I know that. We're just saying it's a sacred text. He says, fuck you, and he leaves. Now you see, that is encouraging the image that's already here in America. Middle Easterners are savages, barbarians, uneducated. Or I could come to class and be eloquent in conduct, eloquent in language, be soft-spoken, be funny, and give people a different image of myself. Now, this goes way beyond just being from the Middle East. You're a woman. You're a woman. You are a black woman. Fine. Let's talk about being a woman first, and then we'll talk about being a black woman. You are a woman. You live in America. In the past 50 years, pay attention to advertisement. You are all body and zero spirit. You're an object to be had and then tossed aside. You have no face. All you are is shoulders down. And since you have no face, since you have no head, you have no brain. And since you have no brain, you have no intelligence. All you're good for is for men to use you as a toy. Look at MTV. Look at the advertisements for Coke, for buying a car, for buying a laptop. Everything is sexualized. Now, Janae, you're like me. You have a couple of options. You can either encourage the image given to people by MTV by dressing like the people on MTV, or you could dress in a much more dignified way. And by dignified, I mean you become conservative. When a man looks at your shoulders down, you say, look, you want to talk to me, look into my eyes. Pay attention to what I'm saying. If I find you worthy, then I'll let you look down below. If not, keep your head up. Now that is something you are responsible for. Now you're also black. You walk amongst where? A culture that has been created and dominated by Caucasians. There are so many hurdles that you and I need to overcome to just survive in this society. Forget the human condition, that's a completely different matter. Just as a woman of color, all of us are condemned in one way or another. Death. Now, do you have any other questions before Camille?
It's a little more lighthearted. I have two questions.
I don't like things that are light.
Sorry. When is your birthday?
I don't know. I don't know because the time in which I was born, we didn't have birth dates. We had to wing it. We didn't have birth certificates way back then. And when birth certificates were created in our country, none of us knew what month, what day, what time. So when I came to this country, I realized that everybody functions as a number. So they asked me for a social security. I had no idea what that was. They asked me for a birthday. I had no idea what that was. So I had to create. So I remember being pulled over by a cop in Davis. I was riding a bike and I ran a stop sign. He asked me for my birth date. I just wung it. He called somewhere and he put cuffs on me. So what are you doing, man? He says, well, your birthday is January 19, 2025, and you gave me, August 998. What are you hiding? So yeah, that's the first question.
Okay. Do you believe in horoscopes?
I know. I don't believe in horoscopes. I don't believe in zodiac. I don't believe in any of that nonsense, garbage. They are a waste of your time.
Why do you say that?
Allahu Akbar. I say that because life is very, very, very complicated. Horoscope is not going to save you. The goal is, I know what your question is. Am I a Leo? Do I want attention? Am I a lion? What house of zodiac do I fall into? Am I hot or am I cold? Am I earth? Am I water? Am I air? I understand all of that stuff. I was at one time interested in them, but I grew up. That doesn't mean that you haven't, but hopefully you will. Alex? Who?
Are you religious at all?
Let me perhaps define religion in this way. There is something about us, all human beings. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. We are driven to be in the presence of pleasure. There is something profoundly beautiful about pleasure. It's something you can't taste or touch. You don't know what it is. It's kind of like when they asked Justice Scalia, what is pornography? He said, I don't know what pornography is. Abstractly, I can't give it to you in language, but I know what it is when I see it. All of us in this class are seekers after beauty. Beauty in writing. You want to go and watch the next Al Pacino movie because he acts beautifully. You perhaps read the autobiography of Malcolm X or Mahatma Gandhi or whoever because it's written well. And one of the things about beauty is that it pushes you outside of your body. I mean, imagine for a moment that you like this girl or this boy, and you go to Rose Garden in Berkeley, and you have your coffee and a sandwich, and you're sitting on the bench, okay? And you're overlooking the garden below, and the sun is setting, and you're enamored, in love with this woman. You hold hands. You have zero need to talk. You have zero need to kiss. You just sit. You are full of something. You are at rest. It's what they call your Sabbath. The kingdom of God lives inside you, man, however you want to frame it. You are in the Garden of Eden. There is nowhere to go, nothing else to do. You are at rest. All of us are seeking that. The only problem is we have, to some extent, a very infantile way of looking at things. Look, why is it that people become addicted? Or let's just say it this way. Why is it that people love sex so much? I mean, we don't really understand it well. And we don't really understand sex as it relates to beauty well. But why do you do it? I mean, where can you go to find yourself in the cradle of pleasure that will kind of remove everything out of your psyche, that pushes you into the present moment? You know, it's someone, a director said something very fascinating about Al Pacino's acting. He said when Al Pacino acts, like when you watch The Scent of the Woman, the ending where he's talking before a committee, or he's like a football coach, he's screaming and he's shouting. The director said, it's like the earth just stops and it opens up, swallows all the trash, and the only thing that lives is Al Pacino. He glues you to himself. Nothing else exists. I mean, that is a religious experience, you know? And nothing else can exist. You know, it's like when the moment the sperm unites with the egg, there's this force field. Nothing else can penetrate. It's impossible. Now, for some people, sex won't do it. For some people, money won't do it. For whatever the reasons are, they get tired of sex. They get tired of making money. They're tired of having power and pushing people around. They're tired of writing. They go to the mountains. I don't know why. They go hiking. All of a sudden, this very sociable human being who was power hungry and power greedy and all sorts, right, enjoys solitary life, enjoys poverty. All of a sudden, his definition or her definition of beauty changes. You're looking for something else. I mean, you need, for those of you who are, to some extent, interested in this class and are fascinated by the exchanges that you and I have, instead of giving me all the credit, perhaps, you know, just close your eyes. What exactly is it that you're feeling, and why are you feeling it? Why do you enjoy thinking? Why do you enjoy feeling about things that are not fun? They're not funny. You ask me about death. What 17-year-old asks about death? Because there is something fascinating about it. Why is it that Janae, a 35-year-old woman who's very, very private, in public says, I'm black, I'm a woman, I got 2 kids, and the man is around sometimes? Why would she disclose? Trust, transparency. Why? For some strange reason, she has faith and trust in all of us here, that none of us are going to use that information to backstab her. That's profound, man. You live in society. What does society inject inside you? Confusion, anxiety, absence of faith, lying, deceiving, nothing. This is her second time in this class, and she doesn't know any of us from Adam. And yet, she gives us information that are profoundly personal and private. That's a religious experience. See, I think human beings go through different stages in life. When you're from 0 to about 5, you just want your parents to take you to Target and buy you Spider-Man toys. That's your religion. That's what you read. That's what you worship. When you get to be 5 or 6, you watch your friends riding their bicycle, and you turn to your father and say, Dad, can you buy me a bike? And every morning when you wake up, you keep saying, bike. It's like a monk sitting in a monastery praying. That's what you do as a 5-year-old. You pray to your father. No God, to your father. Buy me a bike, God damn it. And then from the bike, you go to scooter, to skateboarding, to hoverboarding, whatever the case may be. And then you get to be 18. And then you see all your friends holding hands with someone. And you say, damn, I want a companion. Right? You do all sorts of things, but deep down, what you really want is companionship. And then, of course, you come to explore intimacy, physical intimacy. And it's exciting. It's inspiring. It's fascinating. It's a thing of curiosity, you see. And then for the next 5 years, all you do is just have sex. And then you realize that your friends are graduating with master's degree and bachelor's and PhD. You say, yeah, sex was good, but now I want to kind of just live a different life. Now you begin to worship education. Then you say, yeah, well, I'm done. I want to make money now. I want to buy a house, buy a car, help my parents, give things to my kids, things that I myself didn't have as I was growing up. And then you come to a place where you've had the Spider-Man toys, you've had the bicycle, you've had the degrees, you've had the sex, you've had the job, you've had the money, you've had the marriage, and this and that. And then you get to your midlife crisis. And by midlife, I mean the following, not the American definition of midlife. As a human being, you say, I've done all of this stuff, and I look back, I'm not satisfied. There has to be more. And now you begin a different stage of your life. For the first time in your life, you find yourself profoundly interested in books. Not any book. Specific books that talks about what happens when people have everything, and all of a sudden they find themselves irrelevant. Psychologically speaking, you have a lot of things on the outside, but deep down you feel poor. And you want to know why. And then you may have been an atheist your entire life. You may have been agnostic your entire life. But at the age of 50 or 60 or 70, you begin to read the Bible. And your wife looks at you and says, the hell are you doing? It's an interesting book. And for the first time, you realize that you and your wife are no longer getting along. Every time you sit and you read the Bible, she makes fun of you. What she doesn't understand is that you are now in a different space. You're no longer 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. Maybe you're fearful of death. Okay? Maybe you want perhaps a different meaning for your life. Maybe for the first time, you've really understood what Jesus said. That what benefit is there for a human being to gain the whole world but lose his own soul? You have done all of the stuff for the past 60 years. Now you look, you have nothing. It means nothing. And you put your life in the driveway, garage sale, and you don't even sell anything. You say, take it for free. Religion. It's only when you don't understand things the right way you create conflict. I have a student in one of my classes. He claims to be a Christian, or she, or it, or they, or whatever. And every time I say something, every time, his hand goes up and says, the Bible says A, B, C, D. He's a 90-year-old man. He's got zero for understanding. They're just stupid. Anyone else before we... Janae, yeah.
Then would you say religion are the habits that we create by creating our own
Well, sure. I mean, you could argue that organized religion is very much like an organized life. You know, it has no creativity, it has no juice, it doesn't really flow anywhere. You keep doing the groundhog day after day after day. That in itself is very complicated because we don't usually work that way. The way things usually work is that you begin with not having anything. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a cup of coffee or a companion or wanting a private school for your kids. You begin with not having. And then when you say, I want to have what I don't have, and it becomes really intense, then you go on this quest. And you become a political animal. And you become rebellious. And you become crude in many ways. Because you want what you don't have. And the moment you say, I want to have what I don't have, you run into another difficulty because you need to make sacrifices. And depending on what it is you want to have, you'll either have to sacrifice a great amount or very little. Let me give you an example. If you are 20 and your parents are rich and you want to go to school, the only thing you got to sacrifice is perhaps time or perhaps sleeping in bed. You just got to wake up at 9 in the morning and head to class. If on the other hand, you're 35, you got 2 jobs and you got 2 kids and you got to cook for them, clean for them, do all sorts of stuff for them, and you say, I want to get my bachelor's. Okay? Your plate is full. And you want to carry 12 units, or at least 6, to get loans, to get this, to get that. Now, classes demand you going home studying, writing essays, thinking, which means what? Instead of being with your kids 10 hours a day, now you got to cut it down to 5. Now, that's going to create a good amount of anxiety because all parents today suffer from paranoia. If I don't spend 5 more minutes with my child, will he need therapy like 2 years from now? It's something all of us are condemned now to think and feel. Joaquin, it's good to see you. I'll see you soon. Stay in touch. So, yeah. And then imagine you have, and it's not enough for you to just want to go to school. You need resources. You need to have a babysitter for your kids. You need to have money to get on the bus. You need to be able to take a shower and look relatively decent. You need to have time to not only sit and read the books, but sit and write the work. It's not enough that you just want something. If you don't have the resources, it just stays as an imagination. Once you have it, you live in and through what it is that you now have. You want a Tesla. You don't have it, but you want it. And you work really hard to get the Tesla. You save a lot of money. You don't go to In-N-Out. You go to Zachary, you just save money. You steal money from your parents, from your boyfriend, whatever the case may be. You just save it. And then you pay $60,000. And now you're sitting in the Garden of Eden and you're driving it around. It's a beautiful car. And as you're sitting waiting for the light to turn red or green, everybody's looking at you. All of a sudden your status has gone up. If you were driving a Honda and your value was $10, now you're driving a Tesla. Now your value is $100. Now everybody wants to be around you, talk to you, get your number, take you out, and drive in your car. After about 2 weeks of driving your Tesla, you just don't care for the car anymore. You have slowly entered this world that's called boredom. You're no longer satisfied with Tesla. Even once in a while, you wake up at 2 in the morning, you say, really? I spent 5 years saving money for this shit? It's just a car. How could I be so stupid? I could have put that $60,000 in down payment for a condo. And though every time you see the Tesla, you realize how stupid you are. So initially, it's the bringer of joy. Now, every time you see the Tesla, it makes you feel bad about yourself.
you always chase.
Oh yeah, always. Neon. There is this hot chick. I'm just kidding. Um, what am I chasing? Um, it's a great question. I don't really have a very clear answer, but what I can tell you is my brother and I talk about my parents all the time because my father's about 90, my mom's about 80. They're relatively in good health, but you know, when you're 90, a lot of things could all of a sudden go wrong. And he also goes to the car wash every other day to make sure things are working. So we talk about death. What's going to happen when my father dies? What's going to happen to my mom? Because he's been the only man she's known for the past, 65 years. And so you realize as you talk about your parents, you talk about old age, you talk about sickness and ultimately death, you realize that mentally, reflectively, you're preoccupied with the concept of death. And a lot of people in our community, and we have a very small Persian community in Sacramento, and in the past 10 years, every time the phone rings, someone is dead. So him and I talk about death all the time. Right now, the only thing I really, really, really desire is to go to sleep and not wake up. Because I don't want to be on tubes in the hospital, have an agonizing death. That'd be really, really bad. It's something you can't really understand just yet. You know, it's kind of like I get airsick when I get on the plane. Now, some people get airsick and go to sleep. Some people get airsick and they're just dizzy. I throw up. Okay? So what I usually do, I don't eat anything for about 2 days before I get on the plane. When I do, 10 minutes later, I'm in the bathroom. The last time I went from here to Germany, I think it is a 7 or 10 hour flight. I threw up about 50,000 times. I have nothing in my stomach. I'm just throwing up air. But it's such a jolt to your physical system. And after about 10th or the 15th or 20th time of vomiting, there is only one prayer you have. Let me die. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, when I was a young instructor, I would come to class and I had this assumption that I'm there to educate, to teach, and people are ready to learn. I was really involved. Not that I'm not now. I cared. Now, because of my age, because of the things I know now, hopefully I'm a bit more insightful, a bit more mature. I come to class, try to have fun, try not to be as socially or politically correct because it goes nowhere. Get to know my students a little well. You know, connect the information to their life so when they go home, they know what to do with some of the stuff. You don't need to know about Plato. You don't need to know about Jesus Christ. I'll tell them to you without naming them. And I'll try to relate their ideas to your life. But at the same time, joke around a little bit. You know, say things that most of you will frown upon, will dislike. I don't expect great things from my students because I know it's not because I have no interest in you guys. It's not because I belittle you or have no respect for you. It's because I just know that you can't make the grass grow by pulling it. It's a saying in the Gospel of Matthew. And I think it's very, very, very true. I mean, how many times has your mom talked to you about certain things? I've seen you do this. Don't do it, honey. Don't piss me off. And what is she trying to do? Reason with you, plead with you, cry to you. What is she doing? She's trying to pull you to make you become a 55-year-old. And so you can understand the truth is it's never going to happen. I mean, sure, you may not smoke in front of your mom, but you'll smoke when your mom isn't there. You may not watch porn when your mom is around. but you'll watch it when she's not. And it doesn't matter what we talk about in this class. I mean, I can plant some seeds about pornography, about smoking, about drinking, about violence, about all that stuff, about not going to school or not giving a care about school. I can say things to you as seeds. Who the hell knows when these seeds are going to sprout? So I'm not going to come here and talk about SLOs. I'm not going to have like a very organized class. It's just a free flow. But don't say those things to my bosses, because they may up my salary. Anyone else? We have time for it. Yes, Abby? Were you reaching for your bag? You were? It's okay. Yeah, I need to go pee too, yeah. God damn it, Neon! There are a couple of things. If you hang out with your 18-year-old friends, the truth is you're going to chase what they're chasing for a variety of different reasons. First, 18-year-olds usually pursue things that are cheap, which means that you have access to them very, very quickly. And the pleasure will come to you in about like 2 hours. If, for example, you talk to your mom and she keeps telling you your goal should be finishing up school, not just high school, not just college, not just a 4-year school, you need to go to Yale and get a PhD. Your mom is giving you like this world to carry at the age of 17. She's burdening you with these lofty ideas. Now, if you were to be a customer of your mother's philosophy of life, your friends are not going to be 18. You're not going to watch stupid movies. You're not going to watch or read ridiculous books. You can't engage in ridiculous conversation. It doesn't work for you. You'll be serious all the time. Once in a while, your biology will kick in and you say, Alex, you're 17, go out there, have fun. And you want to go out there and be with your friends, but you realize they're talking ridiculous stuff and you can't really belong to that conversation. You find no meaning in those relationships. So you're 17, you want to be 17, but you can't. And you realize your mom has contaminated you. If, on the other hand, you're able to remain contaminated with the philosophy of your mother for 10 years, when you are 30, you have a PhD. PhD is not education. PhD is power. With that power, you will get a great job by the time you're 31. Which means that if you have a great job, you have a great paycheck. Now you can look to make a good life for yourself. Buy a good car, buy a house, take care of, find a good woman or a good man. Remember, when your mind is educated, you don't want to go out with drunks. You don't want to go out with people who are abusive. You want to go out with someone who is like your own reflection. We don't choose friends, or we don't have friends randomly. It doesn't work that way. You choose friends because they look like you, feel like you, taste like you. So if you're like smoker of weed on a daily basis, you're not going to go out with someone who says smoking is bad. They're going to make you feel bad. They're going to ruin your smoking time. All of us in this class are immensely political in whatever it is that we do in life. Choose mature people in your life, you will follow that. Choose immature people in your life, you will follow them. Choose immature, you'll have a good amount of regrets. Choose mature, it's just pain, blessing afterwards. When we come back on Tuesday, we'll talk about more things that have no value. Have a nice weekend. Take care of yourselves. Say hello to your parents from me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amir. Take care. Bye.